Hello, ATs, receiving teachers and students. Thank you. Sit down. Class, let's look at what you have learned in your previous lesson. Look at the screen now. Firstly, you have learned about adding fractions. Did you? Receiving students, did you learn about adding fractions? Very good. Now, when we are adding fractions, what do we do? When we are adding two fractions, what is the first thing that comes in your mind? What are you going to do next? Receiving students, you can tell your teacher. It is, what do you do when you are adding fractions? Raise your hand. Okay.
Add fractions and apply the rule.
Add fractions and apply the rule. Thank you. She said, add the fractions and apply the rule. What is the rule then? What is the rule? Yes, Malcolm. What do you think? What is the rule?
Find the lowest common denominator.
Very good. Find the lowest common denominator. Class, on the screen, I have helped you to apply the rule. So this is what you are going to do. Firstly, when you are trying to add the two fractions, you have to find the LCD, or the lowest common denominator. Okay? So in this case, you are going to look for the lowest common denominator of 2 and 4. So what is the LCD for 2 and 4? Huh? Put your hands up if you think it's 8. Receiving students? So what's the LCD of 2 and 4? 4. Very good. So the lowest common denominator of these fractions, half and a quarter, is 4. Is that clear? Okay. Let's look at another operation, which is subtracting fractions. In subtracting fractions, we also apply the same rule that we did to adding fractions. Now, when we are trying to subtract fractions, we also apply the LCD. We find the lowest common denominator of what two numbers there? 5 and 8. Okay? 5 and 8. Very good. Now, who would like to tell me the lowest common denominator of 5 and 8? Yes? Alan? Very good. Receiving students, the LCD for 5 and 8, the numbers 5 and 8 is 40. Okay? Now, again we are going to look at another operation, which is multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions. When you are multiplying fractions and you have such fractions like this on the screen, firstly, you have to check the numbers if they can cancel out themselves or can be simplified. So for this case, we have 5/7 times 3/5. So which two numbers you think can cancel out? Receiving students? Okay, the numbers are 5. You can cancel out 5. So 5 divided by 5 is equals to 1. 5 divided by 5 again is equals to 1. And then you multiply across. Now, the next, we are going to look at dividing fractions. When we are dividing fractions, we are going to use a different rule now. Who would like to tell me the rule that we can apply in dividing fractions? Receiving students, you can tell your teacher, 8 is. John.
Reciprocal.
Very good. When we are trying to divide two fractions, we apply the rule called reciprocal method. Okay, do you know how to use the reciprocal method? Very good. Now, when you are applying the reciprocal method, this is what happens then. The second fraction changes and the operation also changes. The division sign changes to multiplication, and the second fraction, the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. And then you check the two fractions and apply the multiplication of fractions rule. Is that clear? Which you can either simplify or you check. If you cannot simplify, you multiply across. If you can simplify and cancel down, you can do so. For this case, which two numbers are we going to cancel? 4 and 8. So if we divide 4 divided by 4 will give us 1, and 8 divided by 4 will give us 2. And then we multiply across. Is that clear? Very good. Now, 80s and receiving students, in our small groups, we are going to apply those 4 operations that you have learned. This time, we're going to solve word problems. In our groups, we are going to discuss which type of operation that we are going to use to solve the word problem. Firstly, you have to read the problem and try to understand the problem. What is the problem asking you to find? And then you find the operation that you are going to use in solving the problem. Is that clear, receiving students and 80s? To the receiving teacher, you can assist the receiving students by helping them in their groups while they are working. 80s receiving students, our problem is on the screen. Now, I will give you 2 minutes in your groups to look at the problem and discuss what is the solution to the problem. You think of the methods that you can apply to solve this problem. You can start now. While you are working, just lend me your ears. You look at the problem. You try to see which numbers appear, and then you pick out the numbers. Then you apply the operation to solve the problem. So you should be discussing in your small groups for the solution to the problem. I would like you to show your working out as well. Sorry, what's your name?
Juanita, silent J.
Huh?
Juanita.
Juanita.
Yeah, silent J.
Sorry, I didn't pronounce your name properly. Iniwa Leonie. Eighties and receiving students, by now you should be finished with the problem. I would like you to select someone in your group to present your solution. I will be picking a group to come up in front, so you get ready. To the receiving students, you can also get ready to present your solution to your teacher. Receiving teacher, you can select a group to present the solution. Eighties, let's have Diana's group to come in front and write the solution of the problem. Diana's group. The others, sit up straight. Let's look at what Diana has for us. And we are going to compare a solution with ours. Is that clear? Okay. Diana? Okay. Diana, can you explain how you got your solution? Dearest, listen, receiving students.
The problem said about 1/3 of the 12,000 visible stars can be seen from a given observation point. The question is, how many stars is this? So, in other ways, of means multiplication, so the point that we are looking for is 1/3 multiplied by 12,000. When you multiply 1/3 by 12,000, you must look for the common factors for 3 and 12,000. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 12 is 4, so you multiply straight. 1 multiplied by 4,000 is 4,000, and 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. So the answer is 4,000 stars.
Class, do you agree with a solution? Yes. Diana, thank you very much. 80s, let's give 5 big claps to Diana for her effort. Receiving students, you should have the same answer like what Diana has done. Nicely explained. And I would like all the students to explain the answers like that if I happen to call your group or call you to come and explain. Thank you once again, Diana, for your effort. Now, what Diana has shown us on the board is correct. She said that when you are looking at problems, you try to pick out keywords. And she mentioned something about this word, of. And she said it simply refers to multiplication. So she picked out that keyword, so she thought that that word is simply referring to the operation multiplication. That's why she showed a working out, applying the multiplication method. Is that clear, receiving students in 80s? Yes. Very good. Now, class, we are going to do the same, do more of these problems as we go along today's lesson. I would like all of you to work in your groups again to do the following word problems like what you have done now. To the receiving teacher, you can help by writing the problems on the blackboard for your receiving students. 80s, take out your books. I will be giving you some minutes to copy the notes, the problem on the screen, and then I will give you some minutes to solve the problem. Here is the first problem. You are given 3 minutes to copy the first problem down. Receiving teacher, again, copy the word problem on to your blackboard. Can I wrap the waking up on the board? Yes. So they understand. Receiving teacher, receiving students and atheists. Let's go to the second question. For the second question, you are going to write it down for only 1 minute. So please copy down the problem. Okay, the next question, question number 3. Again, you are given 1 minute to copy this question number 3. 80s and receiving students, by now we should have finished copying the problems into our exercise books. Receiving teacher, you should check to see if your students have copied the questions down. Because of time factor, receiving teacher, you can divide your class into groups to solve the 3 problems. 80s, we are also going to work in our groups, and the activities will be divided among the groups. So listen carefully. For group 1 and 2 and 3, group 1, 2 and 3, you are going to do problem number 1. Is that clear? Group 4 and 5, you are going to do problem number 2. Group 4 and 5, you do problem 2. Group 6, 7 and 8 and 9, you're going to do problem number 3. Is that clear? Okay, you can start now. I would like you to discuss in your groups and you solve the problem. You know which problem to solve? Which problem to solve? Which problem to solve, you know? Okay. Problem number 1. What? You? 2. Problem 2. Solving problem. You're solving which problem? 2. Okay. So you discuss that problem and try to come up with solutions of how you can work out this problem. Solving problem number 3. Solving problem number 3. So where's your problem? Did you write it down? Okay. So somebody read it out and you discuss and you think of what sort of operation you're going to apply. Okay? Good. You're doing problem number 3, is it? Okay. I don't want you to work by yourself. I said work in a group, so somebody read the problem and then one of you is going to become a group leader. So you're going to ask the students to try to find out which operation that you are going to use to answer your problem, okay? And you're going to show your working out like what Diana has done. Is that clear? And then if it means that I'm calling a group, then you're going to come up and answer down. So I don't want you to work individually. You have to work in a group and discuss your problem, okay? You're doing problem number 3, yeah? Sit closer, so discuss. By now you should be writing down your steps on the solution. That's correct. So you can get it ready to present. Is that clear? Or if you don't know, you ask your friend. What is the operation that we're going to use to solve this? Eighties and receiving students, you get your solutions written out nicely, ready to be presented. To the receiving teacher, you can select the groups to present each solution to each activity. Eighties, this is how we're going to present our work. Group number 1, you are going to write down the answer for A, 1A, okay? Group number 3, you are going to write down the answer for 1B. Group number 4, you are going to write down the answer for question 2. And group number 8, you are going to write down the answer for question number 3. So group 1, that's group 1. Group 3, Group 4, and then Group 8. Could we have the person to write down the answer come to the front and the presenter as well? So Group 1, here. And Group 3, B, Group 8, and Group 4. 4. Group 4. Group 4. Group 5. Go ahead. Go ahead. Eighties receiving students, let's look at question number 1, the solution. It reads, the area of the Earth's surface is about 510 million square kilometers. Approximately 7/10 of the Earth's surface is water. A, what fraction is length. Now, our friends got the answers on the whiteboard. Class, receiving students, do you think the answer on the whiteboard is correct? Is this the fraction of the length? Yes or no? Huh? Okay, now let's look at the screen. The solution for 1A is, firstly, you are given 7/10 of the whole surface of the earth is covered with water. You are asked to find what fraction is covered with land. So in order to help you, you first try to subtract the whole number with the fraction 7/10 to find the answer for the area which is not covered with water. Now, like for example, number 1 represents the whole of the earth, and you subtract it with the 7/10. The LCD for the whole number and 7/10 is 10. So 10/10, which is equivalent to 1 whole, is it? Yes. Subtract 7/10, and then which is equals to 10 minus 7/10, and your answer will be 3/10. 3/10 is the okay, area not covered with water. Is that clear? Okay. Now for the next answers, we are going to correct them in our next lesson. For 1B, exercise 2 and exercise 3, we are going to correct them in our next lesson. To the receiving teacher, you can correct that exercise. The next lesson, we can show the solution to the problem. 80s and receiving students, our keyword for today's lesson is fractions. With that, thank you very much for your participation in today's lesson. Thank you.